Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cookie B. Now, same routine. 4:59, giving you time to get started, giving you time to get set up and logged in, get your popcorn, get whatever you need to get, because we about to have a great old conversation. As you know, it's 13 days into the new year. Same bullshit still going on with the government. Not understanding it, but it is what it is. So we're going to talk just a little bit about that. But as I stated on my previous show on Thursday, some people have been asking me about dating. So we're going to talk about dating. All right. So now it is officially 5:00. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cookie B. Now, as you know, when I get started, I like to start with something positive. I'm going to start off. Hey there. I'm going to start off with my statement shirt today because I'm intentional about who gets to experience me. Yes, I am intentional about who gets to experience me. That is my statement shirt for today, based on the information and the conversation we're going to have. Yeah. It's going to be something. So as you know, I like to start off with something positive. Hey there, Kelly. I see you chiming in. I like to start off with something positive. And on today's show, I know, based on my audience, I have a kind of mixed, brand of watchers that tune in. And it seems to be the majority are, single. So when it comes to that, we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. I have to recap my weekend because it was a weekend. And we're going to get more into that. So as you know, I'm going to try to pull a positive card. Something's going to reflect the rest of the week. Well, this one failed. So let's use that one. Connection. Ain't that something? Connection. That's what we're talking about today. Hey there. Yes. Hey there. But you still can join in this conversation because there was a beginning before you got married. So we're going to talk about that also. So our special, our card for today is connection. Connect with someone special. A loved one is a gift to treasure. Connect with someone special because a loved one is a gift to treasure. So that's going to be our card for today. As you know, once again, I stated for my statement shirt, I'm intentional about who gets to experience me. All right. So another positive statement that I'm going to say today that I came across today, and I think it was fitting. Now, as you know, you guys, I tell you that the universe ain't playing with me because a lot of stuff when I sit down and I say, what I'm going to talk about today, it always leads me to a certain topic. So with this certain topic, like I said, we're going to talk about dating because even though Will, you came in, I'm going to be calling you Mr. Sinclair, I'm sorry. Mr. St. Clair, even though we are going to talk about dating, I'm going to have a question, even though you're married and how long you've been married, you still got to date your wife. Some of that is required with some women. But I do want to say to my single folks that are tuning in, my saying today is a grown woman isn't impressed by good morning texts when you go missing the rest of the day. A grown woman is not impressed by good morning texts when you go missing the rest of the day. Hey, Mark Perry, I sure was waiting on you to chime in because I need you to talk to me today. We got some stuff to talk about. So what we're going to talk about today is being single. Now, dating and being single is something else. Now, I wrote down a couple of notes. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start with this too. The drink for today. The drink for today is from the San Antonio winery, Cardinal. Now, you can buy this at Total Wine. And it's a sweet red. And I haven't drank wine in such a long time, so I will apologize for any inconvenience this may cause you in advance. Oh, yeah. All right. So let's get this party started. Now, Over the weekend, I wrote my notes down. Over the weekend, I've had some interesting conversations. Now, so glad that the Bears won. Hey, it was an interesting game. I really hope that the Steelers had pulled it off last night, but they didn't. We grated some cheese, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Now we are getting that much closer to the Super Bowl, and I'm sure we're gonna have a good time watching that. Hey, D-Lo, welcome in. So we know that, and let me just share this with you. I am is the greatest statement that you can make. I learned that from reading parts of the Bible when you say I am. And then even when Moses went up to the mountain, he said, who should I tell you that I am? He said, you tell him that I am. But I know that with the conversations that I was having this weekend, I had to keep saying, I am not going to get into this because there were some interesting conversations. Now, one of the conversations that I must share with you was one of my girlfriends, and we were sitting there having a conversation, and she wanted to share with me. I apologize. Let me put this on vibrate. Okay. She wanted to explain to me that, she met this guy on a dating app. No problem. But he really wasn't following up on what his intentions were. So he happened to text her and say, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm going to the cigar bar. Hey, Piggy Boop, I'm going to the cigar bar after work. He shows up at the cigar bar just as she was getting there. She sees him. And when she sees him, she was getting her food from the food truck. Excuse me, you guys. So as she was getting her food from the food truck, he said, can I pay you for a piece of your fish? Now, I was saying to myself, well, I think he's trying to test her. I said, well, why he can't buy his own fish? But that ain't my business. So she came on in. And we sat down and we conversated. Now, the man proceeded to come in to the lounge. And he sat there. Now, to me, and this is just how I was raised, when a man sees something he wants, he go after it. But you came in and you just sat there. Why? What was the purpose of you, if you're interested in this woman, coming to where she is just to sit there? Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't understand that. Hence, I'm not on any dating apps. I am getting ready to try them out just for a minute, just to see what it's like. But half of the people that I have seen, I've already seen them on a dating app. I probably would swipe left because I've seen you out and I'm like, man, he looked familiar. Yeah. I get to see them in person. They don't even know who I am. And that's a great thing. All right. So let's talk about dating in 2026. Now, dating in 2026, as I was having this conversation with my girlfriend and a couple of men, because we chimed in, I had some single men chiming in. They too are saying that it is kind of hard nowadays to attract and pick up the correct woman. Maybe he was slightly intimidated by the situation. No, she was turned off. Let me tell you this, Mr. St. Clair. She was turned off because he asked, can he pay her to buy a piece of her fish when the truck is right there and you can buy your own? Now, to me, if you're really trying to get your Mac on, you should have said, baby, let me get that meal for you. Because this could have turned out to be our first date. That's just me. But I don't think he was intimidated. And the owner of the establishment asked him, hey, have you ever been here before? He said, I was supposed to meet my friend up here. And I'm laughing because he didn't meet her up there. You didn't even get permission. Yes, you didn't even get permission to come. You asked, where am I going to be? You didn't say, can I join you? Do you mind if I come up there? Now, mind you, you don't have to ask to come to a public place. I get that part. But you just show up. Now, what if you show up and I'm on a date with somebody else? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Y'all chiming in. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cookie B. We talking about dating now in 2026. Yes, and some cake. Will, come on now. You know, it wasn't me. He wanted to, I didn't have no cakes this past weekend. So we're going to talk about dating in 2026 now. Some of the men that I was talking to are saying too, it's a little hard because some of the women, they ain't playing with y'all now. Just like the good morning text. What's the purpose of you telling me good morning and I don't hear from you the rest of the day? You know, I'm not saying that, you know, I don't know what rules have been established, but if you're throwing that first ball in the tennis court, I think you should be able to follow up. That's just me. So when I was talking to one of my friends, male friends, it was 3 of them, and we were talking about dating. I was asking them, so what determines you to take or even ask the woman out? And he was saying, well, you know, of course, I'm attracted to blah, blah, blah. But one of them cared to share with me some of the conversation regarding he tries to figure out where her head is at before he wants to spend any more money on her. So I said, oh, okay. He said, you know, a woman to him is like an investment because once he has her back, he expects he expects her to have his back. So it becomes a partnership. So, excuse me, when dating, he was saying that he looks at it more like a partnership. So he dates with intention. The other guy that I was talking to, he said more or less, he's, you know, just trying to fill him out more or less. And he said, when he's trying to fill the women out, he's dating, you know, he may go out with multiple women, not at a time. He did want to tell me that he's not sleeping with them yet. But he says he gets to that point, but he kind of weeds them out. You know, sometimes, you know, when he can tell that, you know, they're being needy, he says he pays attention to a lot of stuff. And, you know, these are some pretty solid guys. And he said, I pay attention to a lot of stuff, but then I try to see where her head's at. The third one, hey there, Trina, he's married and he wanted to share with me how he met his wife. And he said he continually dates her, but he said, a lot of things that made him decide to marry her was her family structure. Now, this went into a kind of deep conversation because he said when it comes to the family structure, there's a difference in if you come from a 2-parent home because you're gelling together and you're raised differently than coming from a single mom or a single dad, but single mom because a single mom is usually in fight or flight mode constantly. And he meant that in a positive way because she has to do what she got to do in order to make sure that household is taken care of. Wherein if you're in a 2-parent household, you know, they're sharing the responsibility. Now, of course, I'm going to do some reflection on me because I started thinking, well, you know, when it comes to choosing a man or something like that, I came from a 2-parent home. I did watch my parents struggle to get to where they were, but they wound up being successful in middle class. And then I thought about how my father raised me because I think I've told you guys this before. I was my father's son, more or less. You know, I'm wondering, why am I taking out the garbage? Why am I mowing the lawn? You know, but my father was more or less teaching me some survival skills that I would need in case I didn't have a man. Now, I can say that reflects in my dating life. And I say that it reflects in that because I'm trying to come into my princess syndrome. And when I say princess syndrome, a lot of people are talking about that now because it's like you coming out of my masculine era to be feminine because I got to change the tire. I have to call the AAA. You know, when I painted my house. Now, granted, I can call somebody, but I think about that and how that shows up to another man. Also, I think about that when it comes to showing up and me trying to show my daughter, because, even though my daughter's father, he's in her life, but he's not here physically in the household, if that makes sense to you guys. So, when trying to show her, you don't, you want a gentleman, you want chivalry, you don't touch doors. He helps you sit down. Hey there, Blue. He helps you, pulls out your chair and things like that. I try to figure out, am I going wrong somewhere? But I'm not. It is what it is. So now I'm thinking when I was talking to the guys, we were talking about, dating. Now I can honestly say, you guys know I can't stand this word when it comes to me anyway, but all three of them were, well, Cookie, most men are probably intimidated by you. I don't know why if you don't know me. You know what I mean? But a lot of them were saying some of the women that they encounter, they're intimidated by. So when it comes to that, so I'm going to read a couple of my notes because when I came in, I had to really remember, and I wanted to remember and be accurate on the things that I was repeating, because there are a lot, and I'm going to repeat that. There are a lot of single people. Now, I don't know what generation, and I think we talked about this the other day because we're Gen X. A lot of my viewers that you guys are tuning in, we're all more or less Gen X. So we grew up drinking out the water hose, stuff like that. And we didn't have the internet. We didn't do all that. So we have grown up in survival mode. We knew how to make it. But a lot of the people who were married, and including a couple of my friends, aren't married anymore. They have, they got married in high school or anything like that. And then they have parted ways. And I want to say maybe they've grown apart or anything like that. So when you've grown apart, get divorced. And I think I've shared this. I know I've shared this with you guys. You have to start all over again. So when you're starting anew, here we are, dating. So I want to ask, because I want participation now. Yes, you are intimidating. Blue, be quiet. I am not intimidating. I just know that I am intentional about who gets to experience me. All right, then. So I want to talk about dating because I'm going to throw some questions out there because a lot of you guys that are married and single, if you care to, I want you to share your experience, because even when you met her or your husband, him, where was your first date? Like, where are we dating now? Are we having coffee at Starbucks? Are we more or less saying, hey, let's go to breakfast? Hey, Randy, are we more or less saying, let's go to breakfast? Because, I don't see a lot of people getting to the first date, because a lot of the women that I've talked to, they more or less say after talking and exchanging numbers and, pleasantries, it never gets to a first date. St. Clair says, yeah, you're a little intimidating, but you know what? I told y'all I don't like that word. I'm not intimidating. I am the sweetest person in the world. Anyway, y'all better cut it out. I'm not intimidating at all. If you intimidated, that means that, like the guy told me, you ain't the man for me, and I don't mean that to you guys. I'm just saying the real man, he won't be intimidated by my looks, my, conversation or anything. I'm not challenging. I want that masculine man to come in and check me and put me into my femininity. Not that I've lost it, but we want that. I want that because I want to be a helpmate. If my husband say, baby, come on, we gonna paint this room, I'm getting the tape because I'm gonna tape them baseboards. I'm gonna get them corners. I want to help him out. I want him to know that I got his back just like he got mine. I digress. So let's go back to talking about dating. Now, since you guys are chiming in, Will, where was your first date? When you married your wife, how did you court her? Are people still courting nowadays? Because I'm hearing that after a couple of conversations, everything is fizzling out. Why? Why is the fizzle gone? Why is it that nobody is pursuing anymore? Because now we're in 2026. We can't bring the same things we was doing in 2025 into 2026. Well, we can, but if you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, that's called insanity. Yeah, it is. It's called insanity. So when it comes to dating, I have questions. Where was your first date? How did you go about the first date? Did you ask him or did he ask you? Piggy Boo says, my first date with hubby was at Red Lobster on One Rose. Definitely, and One Rose. Definitely old school. That's great. Will says, we met the first week of high school and the first date was at Olive Garden. So we still are taking women on dates like we're going to eat. Because I promise you, every question, married 25 years, look at God. Go ahead on, Will. And that's good. Congratulations. I am hearing that men and women aren't dating, like it's not even getting to the dating portion. Now, I did watch Cam Newton and I think somebody named London Love. And she was saying that because, a lot of women have quote unquote leveled up. And when I say leveled up, it's like a lot of women are chasing their bag. They're getting their money. They're doing this. They're doing that. But still, I want a helpmate. You still want a helpmate. I don't want a man that if I happen to make more money than you, fine. It's okay. I don't want him to be intimidated by that because if you, and I'm just going to throw these numbers out. If you making 100,000 and I'm making 150, that's 250,000. We still can come together and live a nice life. Now, I don't know if we run into, and this is what one of my girlfriends said, we're running into a different type of character of men. And I want to know what that is about. Like what type of man is that we're running into now? Jana says everything is instant these days. People want to be in the relationship without growing it. I agree. Now, I do believe, because you guys know I'm a hopeless romantic, I do believe in love at first sight. I do believe that once you have the one, things will instantly flow. Everything will be perfectly matched. So I'm wondering, do we have to now they say everything comes full circle. So do we have to bring back the old days? Now, Randy, I know you have living on the East Coast. And I think you've been married for a while too. So how did you, and because I'm asking the men, how did you meet your wife? How did you approach her? How did you pursue her? Now, Blue, you're single. And I know a couple of times you have commented on my show that you ain't worried about doing this. You ain't worried about doing that. But should you find someone that you're interested in, how would you approach it? Yes, Randy, I didn't want to say your business until you said it. So yes, you're in North Carolina. So I know that you were in the service. How did you guys meet? Was it because both of you guys were in the service and then you guys decided because of them great ass benefits that you got that we might as well be one household? Like, I want to really hear some love stories. We came up with certain kinds of fairy tales. I watched a little video where they said if Cinderella lost her shoe, then it really didn't fit. I don't understand that. Randy says 25 years and we just clicked. Now, is that what could be the issue nowadays? Because I'm hearing that from a lot of people. Now, you guys know when I come in and I'm talking about a certain topic, I've asked a lot of people. I do surround myself with like-minded people because eventually I do want my own husband and things like that. So it amazes me how things come about. Randy says we were friends first. Okay, I think that's important. Delo says the men that find someone intimidating are not ready to level up. They want you to come down to their level because it's easier for them. Well, Delo, I have to agree with that. And when you say that, I would say to myself, because even when the 3 guys that I was talking to said that, like intimidating, I said to myself, so you can't handle the truth. What's intimidating? Because I'm truthful. You know, I'm a real woman. I like to think. I don't understand what can be intimidating if our goal or your goal is to have one common thing: happiness. Help me understand that. Now, I'm old school, new school, meaning that I truly believe in dating. I truly believe in love at first sight. I truly believe that we grow together. You have conversations. You get to know each other. But what are we doing nowadays? I want to know how it's coming about because I got a lot of unhappy men and women out here. Kelly says, you know, my husband and I met in school. Yes, I do. When we went on our first date, which was dinner and a movie, he told me that I was not his type, so we should be friends. We were friends for 2 years, dated for 6 months, and married 4 months later. So look at God. I guess he said, no, she is your type. Because I think that too, some friendships can turn into relationships. Now, as you guys know, I grew up, like I said, as my father's son. And there was always a rule in my house. You don't fuck your friends. So even when people say, you know, oh, you want to be friends first, if you're going to keep me in the friend zone, we're not doing certain things. No, you know, we're not, but this is the thing that can be misleading with a lot of women, because some men and women will say, yeah, we just friends, but we hanging out all the time. You at my house, I'm at your house. Come on, let's go eat, blah, blah, blah. That can be misconstrued because even though you're my friend, feelings do develop. Now, certain levels of feeling, meaning that I have girlfriends and I'm like, girl, I love you. You my girl, blah, blah, blah. I have certain men that, you know, you will strictly always be in the friend zone because I love your respect for me. I love the way, you know, you treat me, but it's on that friend level. I don't see it going any further. That's just me. But I'm sure Jay didn't see it going any further either. And him and Kelly been married for 30 some years. So some things can change in a friendship. Unless you're adamant about, no, we're just friends. No, we're just friends. Now, Blue says, no, it's more a fear of failure, a disappointing no, and wasting of time and effort. Okay. Well, I would need you to expand on that, because when you say a fear of failure, nothing beats a failure but a try. So what would you feel you would be failing at? The first step is asking around. Now, I truly believe that some women can ask a man out because I think that kind of gives him the okay to say, yeah, you know, he may have been interested, but she may have said, well, you know what? Let's go out on a date. That gives him the okay, but then he should take the ball and run with it from then if he is into pursuing her. That's just my opinion. Now, there are certain times when I do try to give the man the okay, meaning that I'm good for, hey there, how you doing? You know, I think that my response sometimes when I say blessed and highly favored, how are you? That does weigh, or, you know, wean a lot of men off. And that's good because I am blessed and highly favored. How are you? Now, if that's weaning you off where you saying, no, she a Bible thumper. Come on now, I'm sitting in the club. That doesn't mean anything. That just shows that that's where my heart is at. My heart is letting you know that I know that there's something greater than me. I know that I can acknowledge that I'm just, I'm not just, I mean, I'm not in control of anything. I know that there's a higher power. That's just letting you know that I have some spiritual beliefs. That's just me. Nina says, but does her bringing it up mean she should pay? Well, I agree. Because if I'm going to ask you on a date, I don't believe that a woman should not be afraid to pay. Now, the caveat to that is if I do say, you know what, let me take you out and we go out and then he turns around and pay, that's more brownie points that I got in his, oh boy, that lets me know that even though you know that I am willing to buy you a meal and you take over, baby, down the road, I'm willing to have your back because it's the little things. And that's funny because I was when I was having the conversation, I said, what LMA say? It's the little things, the little things. Now, I wouldn't ask a man if I wasn't willing to pay because there have been times when I say, you know what, let me get you that cigar because I know it's your favorite. Because there have been times when I'm at my favorite hole in the wall and they'll say, you know what? Let me, interesting. Let me get a Budweiser. Mark, I've been waiting on you to say something. You know, when I'm at my favorite hole in the wall, you know, there are some men that are there that we talk and blah, blah, blah. Or they'll say, hey, you want, you know, something to eat? They order Wingstop or something like that. Cookie, what you want? They, oh no, I got it. I have no problem saying, you know, a couple of weeks later or a week later, or I see you again and I'll be like, hey, what you drinking? Get him, you know, get that drink on me. What I'm only doing is showing that I appreciate you. It doesn't have to mean that we're going on a date. It's just a friendship, a reciprocity saying you fed me and you didn't have to. Now you a gentleman about it, but let me get you a drink because you are always doing something for someone else. Let me do something for you. Trina says, yes, it's the little things. Will says a woman should never pay. That's the way I was raised. I agree. I totally agree. But Will, in this day and age, I feel the same way. But I can tell you in the relationships that I've been in the previous with men, the one I was with my daughter's father, wouldn't let me do nothing, but I had to sneak and do something. Like I knew that he loved, you know, like if I said, oh, I know what size shoe he wear, I'm going to go get these Nike Air Force Ones. I'm going to get the such and such because we have conversations. Or he loves, you know, baseball, you know, wear his baseball cap or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, he got this outfit. And if we go out, I'm going to get him a cap to put on, you know, blah, blah. It's little stuff like that. But he would always be shocked. Like, man, why you get this? And I'd be like, man, come on now. We going out. You got this. You putting on such and such. The hat match. It's to me, like we said, it's the little things. I agree, Will. I would love to sit in my femininity and not have to pay in anything. But I truly would make sure that my man or my husband is taken care of because I'd be like, baby, you ain't never got to say, I'm hungry. You gonna eat. Even if I know that your favorite drink, it's going to be there. If I'm in charge of buying groceries and, you know, I may be like, baby, it's Friday. You ain't going out. No, I'm going to sit back and chill. Your favorite drink is over there at the bar. You know what I mean? Especially when you see things that are going low. Now, with the conversation that I had with the married man, he said the same thing. She don't know that I noticed. I noticed that she did the laundry, but the clothes sitting there haven't been folded up, but she's busy doing something else and I don't want her to get overwhelmed. So I go ahead and do it. But she'll get on him and say, baby, I got that. He said, no. You was doing that. Go finish that. I'm going to finish folding this up. Partnership, growing together. But I'm wondering here with this new age, are we even getting to that step? Piggy Boop says, my husband doesn't like me to pay, but I will pay. And that's okay. I think that most men who are like that, and they're more or less letting you know, I got this, but I know that if I ever needed anything, my wife got me. My significant other is going to have my back. That doesn't mean you can't do it. That doesn't mean you don't want to do it, but there are certain things that show your appreciation for him. Most men, I think nowadays, and this is just my opinion, are being taken advantage of. There are a lot of women out here who just, girl, he this, he that. I don't believe in that. I believe truly in true companionship. I believe that if you ain't finished shit, get off the pot. Don't waste my time. Don't do anything. Now, I'm not saying that this is instantly going into a marriage, but if we're going to date and you're going to be exclusive and we're going to date, then we are going to date. Not this playing around, not all this stuff. Ain't nobody got time for that. Mark says, Cookie, at our age, should we call it dating? Well, let me ask you, Mark, what should we call it? We calling it getting to know each other? Back when we grew up, Mark, would you go with me? What we calling it, Mark? Because I don't get it. To me, I'm old school. It is still dating. You date somebody, you get to know them. If it leads somewhere else, fine. I don't care if y'all dated for a year. You're still spending time with that one person and you're growing and you're getting to know them. Now, granted, it could change, but who knows? Now, Will, I see something said you want to join me on video. Is that you? Did you do that by accident, or are you actually trying to join me on video? Somebody else just said something too. Hold on. Give me one moment because I got to put my glasses on. At our age, I'm trying to wonder, is we dating too? So let me see this. Hold on. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, Will, let me know if that was intentional, because if you wanted to join me on video, I clicked the button, but I don't know what happened. Or maybe it was an accident, but yeah, I'm just asking. I was trying to join. Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can invite you to join in, because this is truly going to be in a conversation. Add. Adding you to the video. So I would like to know your, okay, it says adding you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hey, y'all. Hey there, Will.
Hey there, let's get it. Let's talk about it
Let's
because
talk.
it's
Go ahead.
different. It's different.
Tell me what's different about it.
So I think, and again, this is a male's perspective, right? 25 years of marriage, things of that nature. But I think the perspective gets different, and I'm talking on my male friends that are single. And so I think part of it is, Cookie, that it's not just men are scared to date or men are intimidated, but it's not like it was back in the day, and again, going back 90s 2000, the perspective females were more feminine, right? And so when we pursued, it was a chase, it was the response, I'm not saying guys were innocent or anything like that, but what I'm saying, it was more feminine. But now when now in the dating pool, and again, this is me with some of my single friends, and some of them, but that dating pool is completely different. We were we had a conversation. I'll just say it like this. I just had a conversation at TAP we came in on a random Tuesday, and the conversation they talked about was, could this lady date a guy that was making 30,000? And she was like, absolutely not. Right. She gave her case and, all the other cases behind it. And of course, that was great conversation, right? Because he was doing his best. And so she has a background where, she makes at one point in her career, I think 300,000, and it was fluctuated, things of that nature. So, we talked about, could the guy, and I can't give the example, but I think it was like some fast food restaurant. If the guy worked at the fast food restaurant, could you date that guy? And she said no. I said, okay, so when you say you're trying to find a good man or you're trying to date a good man, why does the financial side of it play that much of a factor? And so That's why again, I'm not saying that if you go on a date, you shouldn't be able to eat what you want to eat, but this day and age is different because like I said, my first date, Olive Garden, we were kids, right? I thought I was being fancy, order sparkling water. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? But now, years later, 25 years of marriage later, like we can get together and I kid you not, we went to I think Wendy's because she had taste for their chili for some reason. I was all right. And we sat in Wendy's and we shared a chili and ate some crackers and had a great conversation and just
Mhm.
reconnected, right? Something simple, right? We go
Right.
to Olive Garden once a year, not on our anniversary, but once a year, just because that's where we had our first date, right? So we laugh about it, things of that nature. And of course, we go to the fanciest restaurants ever. But that
Mhm.
being said, it's just that connection and reconnection. And I think that's what's lost is that I think men are very cautious. And I think women, like you just kind of said, aren't really in their feminine era anymore. And so you got to try to catch them in between and hope that they are nice enough to even allow you to be masculine without thinking there's something more to it.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, to me, with that conversation, 30,000 was kind of low. Now I would have let's say at 50,000. Like if he's making 50 and you making, because women are a lot are doing a lot more now. But even then, to me, it's the effort. It's strictly the effort. When you're trying to date me and you say, okay, let's go do such and such, that's fine as long as you paying a blah blah blah. It's the what I'm learning from a lot of my single female friends is you go to do something and then they like, well, I don't know if I can afford that, or if I can't do that. Then don't ask me to suggest something that you can't afford. Then you set it up. You make sure that it's within your budget. That you say, hey, do you mind such and such? Can you tell me, what to wear? And that's more or less thing. If you say, oh, we going to play pool and, just sit and have a couple of drinks, I'm not putting on no high heels and getting all, let me know. Because I'm not going to judge anything like that. That's just me. I'm just going to say, well, we're going to have a good time. We're going to shoot pool. We like to shoot pool. We're going to have a couple of drinks. That's it. That's what I'm not understanding when like you say, when it comes to dating. So I don't know, where these men are that we're used to being with. I don't know what they say. Where'd all the good men go? Because most of us women, like you say, we're having to do now a lot. I know there was a time where we were saying that, most of them was locked up. They in jail. A lot of them is on the down low. They can switch to the other team. Well, now we have that coming with the women. Women are switching to the other side now. There are more women who are saying the man couldn't love me right, but a woman can knows what I want. So they're becoming lesbians. And I'm like, wow. Like love is love, because we're supposed to be more open and all that stuff. And I'm not knocking anybody who is of that sexual connotation, but it's just I am truly lost. Like, how do we get out there? You go on a dating app, and I like I said, I was on a dating app, and I look up, and I'm like, I know him from somewhere, and I'm just looking like, no, no, I swipe left. No, I'm just wondering where are all the good men? So now when we're talking about dating, is there hope? Because I believe there is. I just feel for some of my girlfriends who are really saying, girl, I'm trying to do this. I went out with this guy, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do that. And not he didn't do, but it's like you have to pull teeth to say, when you going to ask me out? Or they're moving slow. Or they, well, you could just come over here.
Yeah, but
I think
but are we given the sign? So, and I find this funny, right? So even at my church,
Mhm.
we talk about this. Are you giving the signs that your approach? Now, I'm not saying you, because you say hey to everybody, right? But are women giving out the signs that they're approachable? Are they giving up the sign that I always say the resting bitch face is a thing. It's a thing, right?
Mhm.
And part of even in our social club, right? Everybody's friendly for the most part, right? You're gonna get 1,000 highs and hellos and hugs and everything else.
Mhm.
But there are some people there that will mean mug you and they look that some of them work there, but they mean mug you and everything else, right? And so it's not right. They're not approachable. You know, they get to know you, then everything's cool. But and I simply say that because you never know what God wants to take a chance, but that moment or that instant is like absolutely not right because it's drama now. Like you know, you got to understand there is an inherent fear in men when and go back to grade school when we approach females, right?
Okay.
It's the one female that we really like, right? I mean, you remember it was yes, no, maybe. Like we'd take the maybe, right? At least we got a chance, right? Or the
Hmm.
opposite, you know, you try and this girl embarrasses the crap out of you and makes you feel like nothing and dirt and everything else. This generation now, you can walk up to a young lady and say hello, and it's, oh, girl, why is he talking to me?
It's true. I
Right?
agree.
That's the
I
thing.
agree.
And
I agree.
and I find it funny because you know it's situations where they a lot of females don't read the room, right? So there are settings that they could be in a room with professional men, right?
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, I mean, I've been there before, like, oh, well, this person's dusty and they ain't doing this, and you probably ain't got no money, this, that, and the other. And I find that interesting because and this was recently at a party, and I find it interesting because I'm like, well, this person's a surgeon, and that person is an attorney, and that person is like does big time real. And but the female that they were looking at in the group, it wasn't her that they wanted to talk to. I mean, that they were talking to. It was the loud friend that had a comment about everything, and nobody was looking at her. You know, you get what I'm saying? And it's like that's funny to me, right? So all I'm saying is I think in my opinion, I think females need to really understand, are they open enough? It doesn't have to be flirtatious, but
No, no.
sometimes a simple hello goes a
I
long
agree.
way.
I
And
agree.
it really is challenging for a man. And I'm not saying all men, because some men just don't care, right? We all had those male friends that they talk to any and everybody and they shoot their shot with any and everybody, right? Guy
Hmm.
we all looked up to. And then there were the quiet guys, right? And so I think in this day and age, when the quiet guy who's being cool or whatever, I think you give that guy a shot. But a lot of people that's not what they're attracted to. You know, they want the loudest guy in the room. They want the guy that and this honestly look at it. Who gets the most females? It's the loudest guy in the room. It's the guy that has, you know, the whatever car out there and you know has the three-piece suit on and all this other stuff. That's the guy that they go. That's who they
Are
go
you
for.
serious?
I'm
To me,
dead
that
serious.
to me that is so superficial. And the reason I say that is because I know my personality. So I'm not going for the loudest man in the room. I'm more or less like I want the one that's sitting back who got on the nice watch. He ain't loud about nothing, but I know he got something, if that makes sense. So I'm more or less scoping him out. Like I can see him. I know I want our personalities to compliment. So if both of us loud, you know, it's just so be it. But even with women, when we're on these, I think women are saying that they're open. I think with the first step is when you get on the app. So if you say I'm on this dating app and I'm going to put myself out there, but then it's the ones that approach you or say, yeah, I like her. I'm looking like, dude, and this is just me because this has happened to me. You don't even have all your teeth. Like I'm just like you don't have you I want you to present yourself. Now mind you, there are some women who want to make you over. I'm just not like that. At this age of me being 57, I'm not trying to build a bear. You know what I mean? I'm saying to myself, you got to at least come with something that is already there or have been through something. And you'd be like, this, oh, okay. Now, mind you, good hygiene is extremely important to me. I tell people I don't like the black folks gap because if that man missing these teeth on the side, that's just not attractive to me at all because I love a nice smile. So I'm going, okay. So it's one of the guys, same thing. One of my girlfriends said, you know, this guy came up to me and he was like, that's her, that's her. Talking about me. That's her. That's who, man, I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her. My girlfriend had to tell him, she is too much woman for you because she knew who he was. And she was saying, no, dude, she ain't doing all that. Now, mind you, I didn't, because he did say, can I have your number? Sure, you can call me. When you call, hey, how you doing? Fine. You know, we gonna go out. Okay. Ask me, did we ever go out? Because to me, you're not following up with what you said. Then when I see you again, hey, you remember me? Yeah, we were supposed to go out. Uh-huh.
See,
Did you
what
call
had
me to go
happened
out?
was,
Did you pick it out? And that was me. But then the thing was my silence spoke volumes, because I said, yeah, we were supposed to go out. But I'm looking at him like, oh yeah, you know, you looking nice today. Thank you. And then I laughed because she went back up to him and said, I told you, you don't want to I'm not for your games. That was my whole thing. And I, like I said, when guys say intimidating, if you say I want to take you out, okay, where we going? You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you that opening to say it's okay to talk to me. But then most men are not following up, and I think that's what some of the women are following. I mean, are finding out, because they're not following up on their thing. I have someone said, Dolores says, after talking to my male friends, I believe that some men approach you the same way they approached the last one, instead of finding out, I'm sorry, who you and what you like. When it comes and then it doesn't work, it's our fault. I'm sorry, it's your fault. You can't use the same game
time out,
on
time out,
everyone.
time out, time out.
Okay.
But then y'all say y'all want somebody genuinely to be themselves. So if they're doing the same thing that they did before and they're genuinely themselves, if they try to fit a box of somebody else, you know what? I saw this movie and this dude was suave and blah blah blah, and they try to be that person, and then you like that person and they can't keep it up. That's completely different.
Okay. I
All,
agree.
all
I
all I'm
agree.
saying is a man should be themselves. Now, Cookie, I think in your situation and what you I just talked about, that's the guy that talks to everybody, right? It's a challenge. You know what? Let me get the best gazelle in the room and let me go shoot my shot, right? And so they go for that big game, right? And then when they get called out on it, then yeah, that's what happens, right? But I think
Yes.
it's the guy that, and I'm not saying necessarily, but it's 2 points. First point, dating apps are meant for people to hide, right? Because what do?
Okay.
You take pictures, you put up a profile, so it's your best angles, and females do it a lot more than males. They find that angle that hide all the things you don't want them to see on the whatever, right? And it's almost like false advertising, right? And then Chat GPT is the greatest thing in the world, because you can put in, well, I like to go to the movies and I like this, and you put all in that chat and they're like, I love elegant evenings alone with bottles of wine and they just, it's craziness, right? So it's not even their speaking voice, it's not
No,
even who
right,
they
right,
are,
right.
right? It's fake. So if you think about it, the guys that are picking you and you're like, oh, well, no, I don't like this guy. It's you get to hide behind it, right? Because you can put whatever picture that you want, and it's a matter of picking and choosing, right? So it gives the illusion of more options.
Well,
Because
let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this, because there are a lot of that they have now what they call the catfishing. But there
Mhm.
are a lot of men who, I don't know if what was my attraction, but the profile, I'm saying to myself, that would be my biggest turnoff, because I'm like, dude, you can't even take a good profile pic, because all I see is this part of your face and you like, and a gold chain. I'm like, no, swipe left. Like, they're not even taking good pictures. So even when you're putting yourself out there, like you said, women do it too, because it's like, oh, I'm look such, and you get to meet them, you like, girl, you 300 pounds. Why? I don't know why we got to be fake. And then when you say the 300 pounds, that's the biggest joke right now, because they said that when people on the 600-pound life, they all got a man or a woman. So there's somebody for everybody. I get it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
get it. But then when you're talking about, like I said, these apps, because I said I said I'm gonna get back on there just to see what's going on. I couldn't even build the app, my profile, because I said I really don't want to do this, because I got to the point even building it going, I just don't want to waste my time. But there are some of my girlfriends who say, girl, I'm on such and such, and girl, look, I said, how you know, girl, he on the app. I was like, for real? They like, yeah. But she like, I'm glad I didn't, because look at him. And I'm saying to myself, like, why are we faking the funk? That's the simplest way I can put it.
But
Why are we
it's
faking the
not
funk?
faking. It's not faking. So have and I'm not saying you, but I'm
Oh, no, I
saying,
understand.
have your girlfriends ever told you, girl, this dress is bad, blah, they show you the dress, and then they put the dress on, and then they come out there and you like, yeah, that's not what it looked like in the
But
picture, right?
I'm that honest friend. I say, no,
But not
no.
everybody's like that, right?
I'd be
Well,
like, girl, they'd be like, what's going on? I'd be like, now you, and I'll tell anybody, and I've said this to everybody. I am a woman who is truly faithful to a good girl. I don't give a damn what I got on. I want a smooth silhouette. So when I see some women out, I be saying to myself, bitch, you need a girdle on. And you know, you do that, I'm gonna get you sucking. When you get home, then let that belly come out. It don't matter. But still, you know, put your best foot forward. Let the illusion come last. Be like, oh, I thought, well, you thought wrong, nigga. I tell them I wear a good girdle with anything. Now I gotta
right.
ask you a question, Will,
Hmm.
because Mark says, what's a good man and what's a good woman?
Oh, I love
Now,
it. I love it.
to me, Mark, a good man depends on your definition of good. Now, when it comes to me, a good man is somebody who's respectable, someone who can handle business, take care of business, someone who has a good head on his shoulder, educational. Now, when I say educated, I ain't talking about you got to have a master's. I'm just saying that I want look, I'm finna get ghetto. I want a nigga that street smart, book sense and street sense. I want you to be able to talk from a pimp to the president, how my father used to say it. To me, as long as you're treating me the way I want to be treated, you a good man. So I'm gonna ask, what's a good woman?
So I think a good woman, and that's it depends on the level, right? So now we
Mm-hmm.
talking about in the dating era or model. Like I want somebody with a head on her shoulders. I want somebody, if we have kids that I can see as a good mom or potentially be a good mom. Somebody clean,
Well,
hygiene. I hate to say it in this
yes,
day and age, hygiene matters, right?
yes, it does. And at
Um,
our age, I laugh because even with a lot of us who have insurance, I be saying to myself, you ain't got no dentist. You know, like little stuff, I just be like, you here, and let's say, you know, you driving a such and such car, but you can't go get your teeth cleaned. That's to me that's a big turnoff because I'm saying to myself, what are you putting first? You rather go get them rims or you rather have a raggedy mouth? I don't understand that. I
yeah.
definitely don't understand that. And I got another question here. Sebastian says, this there is, but you have to find a good friend. Rejection. Sebastian says, bro, the only thing that can happen is she says yes, but a man has to have his life in order before he can move forward. I agree with that, Sebastian. Now, Trina says side pockets. Uh-oh. Dating apps
She
are
was
for
talking about the
closet
teeth, the
people.
guy with no teeth on the sides that you don't like.
Yeah, them fat. Yeah, I can't. That I call it the black folks gap. I can't stand that. That's just not cute. Because when you smile, I'm like, you got two. That ain't cute to me. And I have learned to embrace my gap. So believe me, I grew up very, very insecure about my gap. I wanted braces, and then my mom says, no, that is you. And I got to a point where people be like, oh my gosh, your smile is so pretty. I kept my teeth white. That was it. It's just my smile. Mark says, damn, I just had my tooth extracted. Mark set up, mouth looking like a picket fence. Right. I don't understand that. I don't understand. I really don't understand that. But when it comes to that, I know men have their women have their, little quirks. So they saying, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows on this app, ever since I've been doing these little things, I love a tall man. Period. A lot of my girlfriends who have been trying to set me up be like, well, what about him? Height is the attraction. If you're tall, I'm looking. Then I'm gonna look at everything else. Then I'm
So
gonna look at
so
like, oh
so
well,
wait, so short, so he could be a great man, but a short king, and you gonna think twice.
let me tell you this: a short man ain't even gonna approach me.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well, how much you want to
I know
bet?
short dudes with some of the most confidence in the world.
But they wanna. I did tell them to approach me then.
Well, I'm not gonna do that because then you're gonna reject them.
No, I'm not. It's to me, the height is the attraction. That's just me. I have said I love a tall man. The height is the attraction. After that, everything will fall into place. Now, mind you, there
What do
have
you
been
consider
men that have
tall? What do you
been
consider tall?
6'2", 6'3", 6'4". I love heels, so I like to look up.
Okay, so
That's
you're what, 5'10", 5'11"?
5'9". I'm only
Okay,
5'9".
5'9".
I wear
All right.
heels. Right.
So the average man is how tall?
5'10".
Nope. Try again. So I'm just gonna put it out
Because the
there.
average, wait a minute, because the average woman is only 5'7". So I'm considered
That
tall for a woman.
the average woman, and we can Google it, look it up. The average woman is only 5'4".
Oh, hell no.
Let's look it up.
I am gonna look it up. Sebastian says 5'5". Trina's laughing. Oh my God. No, okay, so the average woman is 5'4".
Yeah, look it
No,
up.
no,
Let's Google it.
I'm looking at I'm googling because they told me the average woman was 5'7" right
Yeah,
nowadays.
nah.
Hold on, I gotta go to my what's the name? Wait a minute. Where's my Chrome? Come on, Chrome.
We running facts out here. Let's go. Change the
Yes,
game.
let's do this. What? Come on. What? Let me pull this down. What is the average? The average height of a woman? You're right. 5 feet 4 inches.
Okay, now hold on.
In the wait. In the Netherlands,
We gonna come to America though. We gonna run come in America. We ain't in the
okay. So
Netherlands.
so wait. I'm gonna add, what is the average height of a man? The average height of a man is 5'9". So I was off by an inch.
Okay.
Average height of a man globally is 5'9".
All right.
So Tammy said that's true. Wait a minute. Mark says Cookie been looking over my head since she ain't. Mark, me and Mark went to grammar school together. You're right. 5'4", 5. Hey, cousin Tony. Tony says 5'4" is right. That's true. Now you're right, Jana. 5'7" is tall. 6 feet in heels. Now, right. I am above average. Okay, so I'm 5'9".
Okay.
So to me, I prefer, let me say this, I prefer a tall man, but that's my attraction. I like tall men.
Right.
That's just me. When I'm looking at someone, I look at the height. Now, I'm not saying I won't talk to someone that's not that height because my
Ooh, you
daughter's
paused on that.
father
You
is
paused on
six
that.
foot.
You
My daughter's
slowed down
father
when
is
you
six
said that.
feet.
Okay, so but that's the thing. So if the average man is 5'9", I'm 6'1". So the average man is 5'9". You
Mm-hmm.
limit the amount of choices significantly. And if we choose an ethnic group, it gets smaller in
Correct.
choice, right?
But
So now this is the thing, right? Because this was the big thing in the dating world, right? A man,
mhm.
they wanted to date a man that was 6 feet, six figures, with a six pack and 6 inches, right? Or more, right? Now, if that's the standard, you've
Okay,
now limited yourself to less than 2% of the male population.
I agree. But look, this is just, let me say this. That's just my preference. Now, I'm not saying that I have not dated someone, like I said, my daughter's father was 6 feet. So I'm not saying that I haven't dated men that are, not as tall based on standard, but I'm just saying that's what I prefer. Piggy Boop, she says her preference was a dark skinned man, but she ended up with a light skinned man. Okay, Jana says 5'7", yeah, 6 feet in heels. Jana says the height catches your eye. Right, the height is my initial attraction. Now, that's when I may look and say, well, what do he look like? Now, I've never been a color person, so let me say that because I prefer dark men, but light skinned men always say something to me. And I'm not going to say, well, I won't talk to a light skinned man. I'm not color struck like that. But I still will always go back to, I love a tall man. I am attracted to height. I don't know why. I just like height. But then after that, I'm not gonna say like if a man comes up to me and talk to me and he only 6 feet, then I'm gonna turn around and say, well, I ain't gonna talk to you. That's not a deal breaker for me. It's just that, like I said, it's a preference. Now, when it comes to like you said, the dating world, I'm going to date you if you show yourself consistent, meaning that it always gets to, oh, I want to take you out. Okay. Where going? You know, and I know that I can have I want to say I have personality. Let me say that, but I'm not going to say, well, look, nigga, I want to go to such and such and da 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 da. No, I'm going to let a man be a man. If you say you want to take me out, I'm going. Okay, well, where we going? Now, if you turn around and say, well, you know what? Let's just go to Red Lobster. You know what I'm gonna say? Okay. I'm not going to say, well, I'm not too good for Red Lobster. I'm not saying anything because he just says he want to take me out and we're going to have a conversation. Now, if something goes wrong in that conversation, that's when I'm going to say, I don't know if I want to go out with him again. Or
I can see that.
he doesn't have good values, or he got 3 kids by 3 different baby mamas and he ain't paying child support or taking care of none of them. That's when I'm going to make my decision and say, well, is you handling responsibility? Is you doing this? Because that's going to say a lot to me. But we don't even we don't get past the I'm going to take you out part. I'm still waiting on you to take me out. I'm still on that part.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait, Sebastian says most men over 6'2" are spoken for. I totally agree. Mark says bring back stacks. Sebastian says, Cookie, I'm 6'5". Sebastian, I know you're 6'5", but Sebastian, you also tell me you have a lot to do. You also taking care of baby birds. So the
Ooh.
only thing I would say to that is when you get some time, let a bitch know. Other than that, keep on going. I ain't got time for it. I ain't got, nah, no. You don't have time, Sebastian. Go ahead on. Mm-hmm.
Sebastian can make time. I'm gonna stay out of that. That ain't my business.
Sebastian, Sebastian ain't making no time. Sebastian know I'm messing with him. Sebastian ain't making no time.
Well, Cookie, I'm gonna jump off
Mhm.
because I got a conference call I got to jump on. But it's been a
Right.
pleasure. I hope you grow
No,
this thing. Whatever I can do to support, I got your back and love you.
thank you, Will. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck. I'm sure I'll see you at our favorite hole in the wall this week.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, you guys. That was Will. Me and him frequent the same cigar bar. And we always have a good time laughing and joking and having conversation. And he advised me, he said, I'm gonna come into your conversation. We're gonna have a conversation. So I'm thankful that he came in, but I know that it is now 6:07, so we have went past our time. But you guys, help out your single friends. Help out your single friends. You know what? The best dating app is meeting someone by word of mouth. When you say, hey, I got somebody for you, because more or less, you know what he like, the guys, and girls, you know what she like. So when you see someone that you can really help out and you say, you know what? I want you to go ahead and be happy. I want you to go ahead and I'm going to help you find someone because dating apps, I mean, I'm not knocking them at all, but I know that there are a lot of people who have met the love of their lives on dating apps. But I know that when it comes to the good old fashioned way, it's getting kind of hard out here for a pimp. All right, you guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been a great episode of Conversations with Cookie B. Dating in 2026. What we doing, y'all? And if you do have a single friend that you can help your single friend out with, I'm talking about, if you know, hey, she's nice, she's nice. Sometimes works out very well because that's how my parents met, through a common friend. So I understand that. So I want you guys to make sure you tell a friend. Follow me on Facebook with Conversations with Cookie B, as well as on Instagram, convo_Cookie B. And I will see you guys on Thursday, 5 p.m. Surely I am rooting for your favorite football team because it's down to the playoffs, y'all. Go Bears. Go Bears. They playing on Saturday or Sunday. They played on Sunday. So go Bears. Go. I'm sorry Pittsburgh is not out of it. We talked about that. Sebastian says dating apps are for closet people. Yeah, you did say that. But all right then, guys. If you guys ever want to join in just like Will did, just let me know. We can both have a conversation and talk about a lot of stuff. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hold on. Will say, Clay, I totally agree with you unless it's his birthday. But men and I'm far too ladies are differently. Happiness, find your piece to get your place. Instagram. Thank you, Nine for putting it in there. All right, go Bears. Thank you guys for tuning in today on Tuesday, January 13th for Conversation with Cookie B. I will see you guys on Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another interesting conversation with Cookie B. Ready? Let's go, y'all. Talk to you soon. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you on Thursday.